Okay. So, I don't know if we finished 18 completely. 18 was, what sharp weapons slice hearts when people meet with each other? The saying of harsh and cruel things and the criticizing of others' faults. Yeah. So we do that a lot. Maybe we better go on to the next verse. Yeah, but it's interesting to think, you know, when I really get into a critical mind, what am I actually wanting at that time? You know, when we get into one of these moods where we're just criticizing everybody and everyone, you know those moods? Yeah. Then I stop and say, what is it that I'm really wanting? You know, what is pushing me to speak like this? You know, I'm wanting something. What is it that I'm really wanting? Yeah. And it's a very interesting question to ask myself, because sometimes when I ask that question myself, the answer is, I want to be happy with myself. You know? But I want to be happy with myself, but at that moment I'm not happy with myself. So what do I do when I'm not happy with myself? I criticize other people. Because if I can bring other people down, then my twisted way of thinking thinks that then I must be better. Do you get what I mean? One of my teachers, Gashina Wandarge, used to say, you know, we get together with our friends and we trash other people in our speech, and then the conclusion of the conversation is, we're the two best people in the world. You know? And it's like, okay, well, why do I have to try and make myself the best person in the world? It's because I don't feel good about myself to start with. Yeah? So then I have to stop and say, okay, well, how can I feel good about myself? Yeah. And then I have to look at, you know, what behavior have I been doing that's making me not feel good about myself, and what behavior do I need to do so I feel good about myself? You know? So that's one of the things I find when I ask myself, you know, why am I criticizing other people? The other times I just say, well, I'm in a bad mood. Yeah. And that just seems like such a good reason, doesn't it? You know? Like, how can anybody fault you for criticizing everybody if you're in a bad mood? Because everybody does it. It's like, how do I let out my bad mood? I go, you know. And but then it's funny, because then I go, well, that doesn't solve the problem of my bad mood. You know, criticizing other people doesn't get rid of my bad mood. Doesn't work at all. It's a bad strategy. You know, and so now it's kind of at the point when I say, oh, I'm in a bad mood. Well, I need to drop that mood. You know, it's just a mood. I need to drop it and not enhance it, not build it up, not use it as a justification for, you know, saying who knows what about whomever, you know. Okay. So I find that kind of works well as a way to temper the negative speech. Because I don't know about you, but I find that when I speak poorly about other people, then, well, I usually don't feel so good about myself when I do that. But then afterwards, I'm kind of concerned when I'm trashing somebody behind their back that they're going to find out about it. And then what do I do when they find out that I've been talking like that about them behind their back? And then also the people that I'm saying all these nasty things about somebody else too, what are they going to think of me? Yeah. So in this case, maybe some concern with my reputation is useful. It might make me keep my mouth closed. Yeah? Okay. But then the next verse, verse 19. What invisible wind brings weakness and wanders without end? Okay. indulgence in babble and chatter devoid of any meaning. Okay, so the seventh Dalai Lama has been going through different kinds of speech here. Okay, so the invisible wind that brings weakness, you know, you'd have no energy afterwards, that wanders without end, this, and this, this, and at the end of the day you're like, you know, well, that's what happens when we indulge in babble and chatter that has no meaning. We don't do that, do we? Yak, 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 yak. Yeah? We talk about all sorts of stuff. And then at the end of the day, I was so busy today, I had no time. You know, I had so many things on my list that I wanted to do. But then we look back and how much time did we spend in the day just to talk about this, talk about that. None of it which has any meaning. Yeah, and then, oh, I'm so short on time, no time to do my Dharma practice tonight. Gotta go to bed. Yeah. If we cut back on TV and idle talk, we have so much more time. Yeah, that's why when we do retreats, we usually keep silence during our retreats, and then all of a sudden there's so much time, and you can actually, you know, get to know yourself because you're not always talking about this and that and forming opinions about things that aren't really of much consequence. Yeah. So good to monitor the speech and think, you know, is what I'm saying appropriate at this time? Is what I'm saying bringing harmony? Is what I'm saying truthful? Is what I'm saying kind? Because we create so much karma through this thing, you know, and now through this thing and this thing. Yeah, but if we really monitor it and ask ourselves, you know, we can, then there's the possibility for transforming how we communicate and how we use our speech. And our speech can be a huge instrument for creating good in the world, or a huge instrument for creating chaos. So let's be careful with our speech.